Turn the quiet of loneliness into your greatest source of resilience. The sacred echo of solitude. When we speak of loneliness, what does it conjure in your mind? Is it the absence of people? The silence of a room? Or is it something deeper? An invisible thread that binds you to yourself, only to reveal how distant you've become. Loneliness, when viewed from the lens of resilience, is not an adversary, it is a teacher cloaked in shadow, waiting to reveal its gifts. In the quiet of solitude, we often find ourselves confronted with truths we've long buried. Have you ever sat alone and truly listened to the thoughts that emerge? Not the ones crafted for external validation, but the raw, unfiltered whispers of your soul. I invite you to pause for a moment and consider this. When you are truly alone, do you feel abandoned? Or do you sense the universe holding space for you? Loneliness, at its core, is a mirror. It reflects not just our isolation but our need for connection, both with others and with ourselves. But here's the paradox: true resilience is born not from running to others for comfort but from learning to stand in that reflective silence and embrace it. The path to transforming loneliness begins with a single, profound act: acceptance. Not resignation, not defeat, but acceptance. Can you accept that loneliness is part of the human experience? That it is as natural as joy, love, or anger? Many of us resist this idea because we've been conditioned to see loneliness as a flaw, a weakness. But imagine if you saw it as a sacred space, a cocoon rather than a cage. How do we shift this perspective? Begin by listening. In the quiet of loneliness, your inner voice grows louder. It might sound critical at first, throwing accusations or doubts your way. But if you sit with it long enough, you'll realize it's not there to harm you, it's there to guide you. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding in this silence? What truth am I afraid to face? Once you've begun to listen, the next step is to redefine the silence. Many view silence as an emptiness. But silence is full. It is the space where potential resides. Consider this: in music, it's the pauses that create rhythm. Without silence, there is no melody, no harmony. Loneliness works in much the same way. To truly harness the power of loneliness, you must turn it into a space for growth. Journal your thoughts, meditate on your feelings, or take long walks in nature. These are not distractions, they are tools to help you delve deeper into your inner world. In solitude, you have the chance to ask life's most profound questions. Who am I without the noise of the world? What do I truly value? And here's a question that may take days or even weeks to answer: if I could sit with my loneliness without trying to escape it, what would it reveal about the parts of myself I've neglected? Loneliness is often misunderstood because we fear its stillness. But resilience is not born from avoiding fear, it's cultivated by walking through it. Think of loneliness as a dark forest. At first, it feels menacing, filled with unseen dangers. But the more time you spend in it, the more you realize its beauty: the way light filters through the trees, the subtle sounds of life all around you. In this forest of solitude, you are not lost. You are exploring. Every step forward, every moment of courage to sit with your loneliness, strengthens your roots. It makes you resilient. Not because it eliminates pain, but because it teaches you to embrace it. So, I ask you again, when you are truly alone, do you feel abandoned? Or do you sense the universe holding space for you? If you haven't yet felt the latter, Know that it is there, waiting for you to notice it. The alchemy of pain into strength. Pain, like loneliness, has an alchemical quality. It takes what feels unbearable and transforms it into a foundation upon which we can build. The key to this transformation lies in understanding that pain is not the enemy, it is the fire that forges us. But here's the deeper question: how do we take the raw, searing intensity of loneliness and turn it into the steady, unyielding strength of resilience? First, let's address the illusion of permanence. When we are in pain, it feels eternal. We believe that the loneliness enveloping us now will stretch on forever. An unbroken line of silence. But think of the night sky. It appears infinite. Yet it's punctuated by stars, by glimmers of light. Loneliness is much the same, it only feels endless because we haven't yet noticed the light within it. Ask yourself, when was the last time you looked at your loneliness as an opportunity rather than a burden? What if, instead of running from it, you leaned into it? Resilience begins with this shift in mindset. It's about seeing the quiet of loneliness not as a void but as fertile ground where strength can take root. To turn pain into strength, you must first acknowledge it. Denial only amplifies suffering. Sit with your pain. Name it. Describe how it feels, not just emotionally, but physically. Does it sit heavy in your chest? Does it make your body feel tired or restless? This act of recognition is not weakness, it's the first step toward empowerment. Next, explore what your pain is teaching you. Pain is a messenger. Loneliness, in particular, often points to a disconnection, not just from others but from yourself. What parts of you have you neglected? What dreams have you silenced because they didn't fit into the life others expected you to live? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary. Here's a practice that might help every day. Set aside time to write a letter to your loneliness. Speak to it as if it were a companion. Ask it why it's here, what it wants you to learn. You may be surprised by the answers that emerge. Loneliness often reveals the truth we've been too busy to hear. Now, let's talk about resilience as a skill. Many think resilience is something you either have or don't. But that's a myth. Resilience is cultivated through deliberate action. It's built when you face discomfort and choose to grow from it. Consider this: every moment of loneliness you endure is like a drop of water carving a canyon. It may feel insignificant in the moment, but over time, it shapes you into someone unshakable. Reflect on your own life. How many times have you faced loneliness before? And yet, here you are, standing, breathing, living proof that you've already survived it. One way to strengthen resilience is to embrace rituals. Rituals anchor us. They remind us of our agency when life feels out of control. Create rituals that honor your solitude. It could be something as simple as lighting a candle and meditating every evening, or as elaborate as dedicating an hour each day to learning something new. These rituals transform loneliness into a sacred practice. And here's a deeper question for you to ponder: what if loneliness isn't a punishment but an invitation? An invitation to discover the parts of yourself that you've hidden, the dreams you've deferred, the love you've withheld even from yourself. Resilience also requires connection, not necessarily with others, but with something greater than yourself. This could be nature, art, spirituality, or a cause you deeply believe in. When you feel disconnected, find ways to re-establish that connection. Walk barefoot on the earth. Listen to music that moves your soul. Pray, if that resonates with you. or simply sit in silence and let the world speak to you. And finally, remember this: every moment of loneliness carries within it the seed of its opposite. Just as night gives way to day, loneliness, when embraced, can transform into a profound sense of peace and self-discovery. But you must be willing to sit with it, to face it without flinching. So, I leave you with this question: if loneliness is a teacher, what lesson is it trying to impart to you right now? The silent strength of self-discovery. In the stillness of loneliness, a door opens, not outward, but inward. This door leads to a realm of self-discovery, where resilience is no longer an abstract concept but a living force within you. To walk through this door requires courage. It demands that you not only face the silence but also listen to it. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of space. And within that space lies everything you need to know about yourself. Yet, many of us fear this silence because it reveals truths we'd rather ignore. But here's the paradox: the very truths we resist are the ones that set us free. Begin with a simple but profound act. Ask yourself, who am I without the noise? Without the opinions of others? Without the labels society places upon you? Who remains? This question may seem daunting, even unanswerable. But that's the beauty of it: it's not meant to be answered in words. It's meant to be lived. As you delve deeper into self-discovery, you'll notice something extraordinary: the more comfortable you become with your own company, the less you fear being alone. This is the silent strength of self-discovery. It transforms loneliness into solitude, a sacred state where you are whole, even in the absence of others. Practical steps can help you navigate this journey. One powerful tool is mindfulness. Mindfulness is not about escaping your thoughts but about observing them without judgment. Sit quietly for 10 minutes each day and simply notice your breath. When thoughts arise, don't chase them. Let them come and go, like clouds passing through the sky. Over time, you'll find that the silence, once intimidating, becomes a source of comfort. Another practice is gratitude. Yes, even in loneliness, there is room for gratitude. In fact, it is in our loneliest moments that gratitude becomes most transformative. Take a moment each day to reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be grand: a warm cup of tea, the sound of rain, the breath in your lungs. Gratitude shifts your perspective, allowing you to see the abundance that exists even in solitude. Now, let's turn to the heart of resilience: meaning. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, once wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Loneliness is not a situation to be changed, it is an experience to be understood. And the understanding comes from finding meaning within it. What is the meaning of your loneliness? Is it teaching you to slow down? To reconnect with parts of yourself you've neglected? To prepare you for a deeper connection with others? Meaning doesn't come to us fully formed, we create it through reflection and intention. But here's a challenging question: if this moment of loneliness were the last chapter of your life, how would you want it to end? Would you want to be consumed by it? Or would you want to rise from it? Stronger, wiser, more at peace. Self-discovery also requires forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. Many of us carry guilt or shame for the choices that led us to this moment. We replay old mistakes, wondering how things could have been different. But resilience is not about perfection, it's about grace. Forgive yourself for being human. for feeling pain, for needing time to heal. As you forgive, you'll find that your heart becomes lighter, more open. And in that openness lies the final secret of loneliness. It is not an end but a beginning. It is the seedbed of transformation. The place where the old self dies and the new self is born. So, I leave you with one last question. If loneliness is the soil, and resilience the tree, what fruit will you bear for the world? The answer to this question is yours to discover. But know this, in the quiet of loneliness, you are not alone. You are with the deepest, truest part of yourself. And that part is more than enough.